is if the proposal dilutes the mission or effectiveness right now, it would not be a good time to do that.
Yeah, there's no learning curve or time to stand up new organizations, sir. So I agree with you.
Yep, thank you. I yield back.
Well, thank you to both of our witnesses for being here today. The ports of Balboa and Cristobal are gateways to the Panama Canal and have long been under control of the Hong Kong-based operator with deep ties to Communist China. That could change if BlackRock, hopefully, finalizes the deal to acquire 90% of the Panama Ports Company from C.K. Hutchinson, a strategic win for U.S. interests. But for years, Chinese state-backed port operators across the Americas have acted as front doors for transnational criminal activity. Ports controlled by Communist China lack transparency. That's a feature of authoritarian regimes, not a bug. This allows organized crime to thrive by bribing custom agents, falsifying bills of lading, and moving illicit cargoes with ease. And obviously, we know of the issues of corruption in Communist China in general. We're seeing stolen metals from copper from Chile, iron ore from Mexico, coltan from Colombia, shipped to China through these ports. This two-way criminal trade feeds Communist China's raw material demand and fuels organized crime across our hemisphere. Add to that the fentanyl precursors moving through these ports, and the risks compound. Mr. Urban, a recent CSIS report highlighted how the PRC owned and operated ports in Latin America can harbor unique vulnerabilities and make them appealing to organized crime. Do you agree with that assessment?
I do.
I'm going to submit for the record this report from CSIS, are Chinese ports in Latin America preferred by organized crime? And then, Mr. Urban, do you believe the United States should do more to ensure that ownership and operation of these ports is held by trusted entities, not Communist China?
I do.
What more can we be doing for the ports, because there's a number of them throughout Central and South America, what more can we do with regard to holding these port operators accountable for actually not allowing illegal materials to be transshipped through them?
Well, it's a key component, ports around the world, and during my time at SOD, when I talked about Chinese money laundering operations, I think I could spend a few seconds on, and it ties into a couple different things we're talking about. We noticed, right, we recognized through gathering information on Chinese money laundering networks that there was what I call the Chinese playbook in terms of Chinese influence operations around the world. And we saw a consistent pattern where we saw two things. One, wherever you saw an infrastructure product, whether it was a Belt and Road Initiative announced project or an infrastructure project to build something, let's say in Africa or in this hemisphere, there was a parallel effort by Chinese organized crime in those same jurisdictions like Panama, like Colombia, and elsewhere, other important allied countries, where that parallel effort was designed to corrupt local and regional components of that government. So obviously, I completely agree. From the national security perspective, a key aspect of the Panama Canal and Panama itself, and when we talk about transnational organized crime, the movements of money, the movements of human smuggling, and the funds associated with that, that parallel effort by Chinese organized crime in a jurisdiction like Panama is designed to corrupt local and state government officials as well as port operations themselves. So for obvious reasons, I agree with my background in DEA that ports are a key component that we need to control and have rule of law throughout the world, especially in national security interest countries like Panama.
Great, thank you. We're facing a national security crisis that goes far beyond open borders and overdoses. Chinese money laundering networks have quietly become the financial backbone of the Western Hemisphere's deadliest cartels. These networks are laundering hundreds of millions of dollars in drug proceeds, propping up fentanyl supply that has killed over 80,000 Americans just last year. These launderers exploit our financial system's vulnerabilities with surgical precision, using counterfeit passports, fake businesses, and rapid-fire bank deposits across dozens of states. And they do it faster, cheaper, and more discreetly than transnational criminal networks, traditional criminal networks, rather. This is not just organized crimes, it's transnational exploitation with communist Chinese fingerprints all over it. And it's not happening in secret. It's happening in strip malls and bank lobbies in broad daylight while law enforcement plays whack-a-mole with our financial system struggling to keep up. Dr. Feldman-Brown, how are Chinese money brokers operating so successfully, and which methods are we least equipped to respond to?
One of the biggest advantages Chinese money laundering networks have is that they can utilize trade-based money laundering, under-invoicing and over-invoicing to launder money. That is uniquely available to them because China does business around the world. So a Bolivian money laundering operation cannot justify so easily operations to Mongolia or Kenya. Moreover, the ability of Chinese underground banking system to avoid international wires is another enormous advantage, with money moving is only within the United States, only within China, only within the source country where money is being laundered, such as Mexico. US law enforcement and Law Enforcement International is becoming more aware of the enormous speed with which Chinese money laundering networks catapulted themselves to the top of money launderers, not just in the Asia-Pacific region, where they have been at the top for 20 plus years, 30 years, but also in the United States, in Canada, and in Europe. And countering them must be a core objective, including because it's a very significant source of intelligence on other criminal groups and state sponsors.
Great. Thank you very much. I've got additional questions I'll submit for the record. Senator Van Hollen.